I just reread the book Mindset by Carol Dweck, and in this video, I'll review it and share my thoughts. Hi folks, I'm Chris, and on this channel, I help people with personal and professional development. If you like that sort of stuff, subscribe. If you don't, well, don't. The first time I read this book was a few years ago, probably in 2016 or 2017. At the time, I was still traveling a good deal with my corporate life, and I always loved to have a good paperback with me on the flight. Being a self-improvement junkie, I gravitated towards the name of the book due to the fact that I'd worked in the seminar business, and I've learned over the years that what mostly stops people's progress is simply the lack of willingness to do the hard yards. I think when I picked up the book, it was because I was expecting it to be a list of affirmations for what I had learned through the years. And in part it was. But after going back and rereading the book today, I realized that Carol's theory and research inside of this book is extensive and much more than I was giving it credit for. So to lay a little groundwork, Carol Dweck is a professor at Stanford University. Her work bridges developmental psychology, social psychology, personality psychology, and examines the self-conceptions that people use to structure self and guide their behavior. Her research looks at the origins of these self-concepts and their role in motivation and self-regulation and their impact on achievement and interpersonal processes. She graduated from Yale University and has multiple academic appointments, such as Professor Psychology, Professor Graduate School of Education, Human Performance Alliance. She has multiples of administrative appointments, honors awards, and sits on multiple advisory and professional boards. She has a list of publications 19 pages long on the Stanford website, so to say she's got some knowledge may be the understatement of the year. With all that said, as an average Joe's son, I find, and this is the place where I could get into a little bit of trouble, I find that sometimes when academic writes a book on a topic like this, it can feel like many of the conclusions drawn feel obvious and somewhat like common sense. But the reality is, as humans, our struggles seem so simple looking from the outside in, but when you're struggling with something internally, even something that looks like it should be simple on the outside can be astonishingly difficult on the inside. So okay, let's get into the meat of the review. The overarching question of the book is, as humans, do we have the ability to affect our intelligence and our natural abilities, or are we somewhat, well, stuck with the hand we've been dealt? It is then based on the simple premise that there are two general mindsets that people naturally lean towards. Number one is a fixed mindset, and this is where the person leans in the direction of not wanting to challenge themselves when things get difficult. This type of mindset likes feeling that they are good at things naturally and tend to lean away from things when learning gets hard, when the going gets tough. They tend to believe that the intelligence that they were born with is, well, just that, and they're not really able to affect it by their thoughts or their actions. Now, a growth mindset, on the other hand, leans in when the going gets tough. So when learning gets tough and they feel challenged, the growth mindset type of people like to roll up their sleeves and get their hands dirty, and they kind of revel in the challenge. In the book, she uses terms like risk and effort. When people are in growth mindset, they're okay to problem solve rather than having things just come easy for them. Of course, there's more to it than that, but that's the summary of the two mindsets. Now, obviously, when you break up 7 billion people into two mindsets, you understand that there are some people that lean hard in one direction and some people that lean hard in the other direction, and of course, some people that fall nearer to the middle. So in the book, her research begins with observing children when given a puzzle or a problem to solve. As you can imagine, some of the children crack their knuckles and dig in, while others feel frequently frustrated and bored with the challenge and either dismiss it or simply don't want to play along. Over time, it became obvious that one group was not necessarily more gifted or intelligent, the success that they were experiencing was simply because they were willing to try and fail and try again. In each chapter, Dweck lays out through stories, research, and examples how growth mindset and a fixed mindset act completely differently in situations. And because of that they end up with completely different outcomes. She begins to dig in with the art and science of accomplishment, then moves into sports and the mindset of a champion. She illustrates examples of world-class athletes who struggled in the beginning, but through hard work and belief in themselves, they were able to succeed, such as the famous story of Michael Jordan being cut from his high school basketball team, only to then become one of the greatest players of the game in all time. When she talks about business and the mindset of a leader, she illustrates that how throughout history, leaders with a fixed mindset might have a stream of success, but when change is necessary, they absolutely struggle. Where a growth mindset leader seemed to have some longer-term approach, and when change is necessary, even on their own leadership style, they seem to be able to pivot and embrace it. And it's through this willingness to embrace change and figure out what's necessary when they have to be better, gives them a chance for more long-term success. In this chapter, she gives a great example of Lee Iacocca, who was credited with the Ford Mustang and the Continental Mark III, then reviving the Chrysler Corporation. But when the market changed and Japanese car manufacturers innovated, Iacocca struggled to change and continued to make the same types of cars, and he really never regained success or momentum again, and his career just kind of faded off. Now, throughout the rest of the book, she shares similar anecdotes in the areas of relationships, parenting, coaches, teachers, and in each area it becomes more clear that we are not fully limited by our current tools and resources, that the simple fact is, as humans, we are fully capable to stretch, sometimes incredibly, further than our current mental and physical capabilities. And that the simple formula, think, feel, and do, seem to be the key to it all. A growth mindset person and a fixed mindset person process experiences differently. And because of this, they have different feelings, and because of this, they take much different actions, leading them down completely separate paths. Now, here are a few examples of a growth mindset. They stay interested when things become difficult. They get a thrill when projects become hard. They're willing to figure things out, and they feel that if they score like low on a test or they're challenged, they know with hard work that they can improve the next time they take that same test again or have that same challenge. Whereas a fixed mindset stays interested when they do well on something or when things feel easy to them. And they get a thrill when things are easy. They absolutely hate making mistakes, and they feel that if they scored low on a test or in a challenge, that it's always going to be that way, that's just how they're wired and they can't make up for it. So overall, a growth-minded person believes that they have the potential to develop skills and abilities with practice over time. A fixed mindseted person feels that they have what they have and they can't really affect it that much. Okay guys, so before I share my final thoughts on this review of Mindset by Carol Dweck, I want to know, are you enjoying this book review? If so, what's hitting home for you? Hey, have you read the book Mindset? I'd love to hear about it in comments below. And by the way, if you like this book review, I'd love to hear about that in comments below because I'm thinking about doing this once a month or so on the channel. Let me know your thoughts. The final chapter of Mindset by Carol Dweck is called Changing Mindsets. And here she gives scenarios to the reader to think about how they would respond to any given situation and try to help them to see how adopting a more growth mindset would affect that situation. Now again, this is where I can hear myself getting a little critical with some of the redundancies, but of course, that could just be my fixed mindset talking. In closing, I do believe this book is definitely worth the read, and I personally recognized, more than I like to admit, that I can fall pretty deep into the fixed mindset category sometimes when the going gets tough. And reading this book has helped me to, well, as the hikers say, embrace the suck when things get tough and do the hard work up front. And I'm going to leave the results up to God. So, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this book review. Again, please hit like if you did, subscribe to the channel for more videos like this, and I'll see you in the next one.